Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Lemon Live at 5. We come on the air, or we stream to you tonight with some very terrible news about a situation that happened in Minneapolis. Man, I don't know any other way to be outraged, and I'm mad. I'm pissed off, and I'm mad because I know the administration. They have no other choice but to lie about this because this makes them look bad. It exposes who they are, the horrible people that they are. This looks like murder. That's what it looks like. Now, I have not seen the full video I've seen the full video, but not from every angle. But every single person, law enforcement, any sort of fair-minded person will tell you it looks like this woman was trying to move out of the way. We're going to show you some things. I have to warn you, some very horrific things. We're also getting new information about the identity of the woman. But we begin in Minneapolis, and this is where a woman is dead after being shot by a federal immigration officer. That was during an ICE operation. Now, according to the authorities, the shooting occurred early Wednesday morning during what the Department of Homeland Security describes as a large-scale immigration enforcement action. The woman was 37 years old, is a U.S. citizen, and according to the news reports, the Department of Homeland Security confirmed today that the woman was shot and killed by an Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE agent during a confrontation between federal agents and protesters in South Minneapolis. The woman's mother identified her as Renee Nicole Good. Renee Nicole Good, 37 years old, a U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen. The Department of Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin said ICE officers were conducting targeted operations when community members began trying to block ICE vehicles. She said the ICE agent fired defensive shots as the woman attempted to run over agents. I'm going to let you decide. I'm going to let you watch it, and you can make up your mind about what it is and what it looks like. The federal agents are saying that this woman, the ICE agent, fired in self-defense after the vehicle was driven towards officers. That's bullshit. As I will show you, this did not happen in a vacuum. Over the past year, my mama told me not to curse so much anymore on the show. This effed up administration has dramatically expanded immigration enforcement, flooding cities with these federal agents, loosening rules of engagement, framing routine immigration actions in the language of warfare. Even the Department of Homeland Security is now, the Department of Defense is now the Department of War. They set this tone. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, has repeatedly vowed to carry out what she calls the most aggressive deportation campaign in American history. President Trump has cheered this on, portraying immigrants as invaders and local officials as enemies if they resist. When you deploy heavily armed agents into civilian neighborhoods, a tragedy like this is not just possible, it's not just probable, it is inevitable, and it is entirely predictable. This is predictable. Responsibility begins with the agent who pulled the trigger and will be examined by investigators. But it does not end there. This extends upwards to policymakers who created the conditions for this operation, who turned American streets into, excuse me, mom, fucking war zones. This is the type of shit that you see in Iran. It's the type of shit you see in Russia, but never in America. You're not supposed to see that in America. A woman is dead because of these policies. Because we have someone who condones this behavior. We have someone in office now, Donald Trump, who is a racist wannabe king. That's why we're in this moment. We have several guests that are going to join us, law enforcement, legal analysts who are going to join us in just moments. I want to play you now. This is graphic. This is the shooting. All of it is in real time. You're going to see the aftermath, and you'll also see, quite frankly, some of the blood coming from the car and on and on. But I think it is important to see it and then you can decide for yourself by looking at it with your own eyes, and listening with your own ears, what happened here. Roll it.
You! Shame! 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 Dude, what's happening to her? What happened? Dude. Okay. Dude, you shot her! I'm trying to help! No! No! You fucking shot someone in the fucking face! You shot someone in the fucking face! Do you have a conscience? Do you have a conscience? Don't let the murderer leave! Don't let the murderer leave! You guys are the fucking criminals! You don't get to tell us what to do! Fucking criminals! Don't let him leave! Don't let him leave!
Pussy motherfuckers, man!
No! Get the fuck out of our neighborhood! Yeah, it's a fucking crime! We fucking know it! We're here! Yeah, like what the absolute fuck, man? What the absolute fuck? Do you have a conscience? Do you have a conscience? Do you have a conscience? This is the time, man. This is the time to have a conscience. This is not okay. This is not okay. Get a fucking conscience.
Can you look at me and tell me you're doing the right thing? Get the fuck out of here, bro! You didn't fire any weapons! Fucking your people did, man!
In the head. In the head.
I didn't do anything!
And she drove into the floor.
Murderer! You! Look at me! Look at me! You can't even...
Watch out, man! Watch out!
Why don't you look at me? I thought you could do it! You owe your soul!
You okay, mommy?
This is outrageous, and it's infuriating, and there is no excuse. Even if you look, I haven't seen the angle from the other side, but I've watched examinations from law enforcement experts, conservatives, who are saying that this appears not to be justified at all. and that what the administration is saying does not look like what happened at all, that she was not trying to run over an officer. Her intention was to leave the scene. She was turning around in the middle of the street. Law enforcement's job is to de-escalate situations. Well-trained officers would not be in this situation. If you shoot someone, of course, the car is going to go out of control, which would further injure you, which would put your life in jeopardy more so than someone who is trying to move. And it appears, if you look at the officer, whoever was in the front, if you look at that, you will see it does not look like anything that they are talking about. It is unbelievable. Quickly, a news report that shows the chaos moments after this happened in the neighborhood.
Well, Anna, we are here in Minneapolis. There's a tense exchange between protesters and law enforcement, both state and local law enforcement, and also ICE agents. We just recently saw a tweet from the city of Minneapolis that reads, "We are aware of a shooting involving federal law enforcement near 34th Street and Portland Avenue." That is where we are right now, Anna. We've also been talking to an eyewitness. That eyewitness tells us that that person saw or heard 2 gunshots. You might be able to hear something from that eyewitness. I want you to hear what that eyewitness had to say.
Okay, so that is the chaos in the moments right after this happened. And there's also other video of officers shooting people in the face with some sort of chemical. I don't know if it's pepper spray or tear gas or whatever it is. There's video of that. Can we show some of that, please?
Get back! Get back! Get back! Whoa! Let go! Whoa! Kill someone else! Go for it! Kill someone else! One person today.
I want to bring in now my friend Charles Coleman is MSNBC legal analyst, a former prosecutor, and a civil rights attorney. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Don. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here, although the circumstances are just atrocious.
Any justification you see in this?
No, I've tried to analyze the footage that I've seen from the angle of being a former prosecutor, being an agent of the court, as well as a civil rights attorney, and the violations that I am looking at as I am watching this footage that continues to circulate and citizen journalists are posting. It's just really an aberration in terms of how the rights of these individuals have been violated. Even going to the video footage that we've seen around the actual shooting itself, there is a significant question as to the viability of lethal force being used. It's important to understand that a fleeing car that does not immediately impose a threat to a law enforcement officer or the public in general is not a viable cause for a lethal threat to be employed, and so, or lethal violence to be employed. And so even those actions warrant significant scrutiny, and I do not believe rise to the level of what we're seeing. But Don, there's a bigger problem here, and that problem is beyond the actual facts of this instance.
Hey, Charles, can you hold for a second and then I'll let you finish? I just want to bring in someone right now. I want to bring in Katie Fang. Katie Fang is an attorney, a legal analyst, and the host of the Katie Fang Show right here on YouTube as well. Charles, continue. I just wanted to bring Katie into the conversation. Pardon me, but go on.
It's so good to see one of my favorite people on as part of this conversation, Don. The bigger problem here is there is a narrative that is surrounding ICE, the threat that ICE supposedly faces in this country in the execution of its duties under the Department of Homeland Security, that they have used to justify unjustifiable levels of violence against individuals. And the narrative that we have heard from ICE and from DHS immediately following the shooting supports that narrative, such that there is a threat against them, which is why they are able to use this type of violence against other people, even if it's unjustifiable and lethal in this case. And what we saw, I want viewers to understand and think about what we saw from the judge in Chicago, who stopped the National Guard from coming in because they had not sufficiently shown that they were in fact under attack. They had not sufficiently shown that they were in fact threatened. And here it is yet again, more video footage that is contradicting that narrative that ICE has sought to advance about what a threat their officers are under when they are trying to execute their duties in these different communities. And so I think it's important for people to understand that this notion, this narrative of ICE being so threatened that they need the National Guard to then come in and protect them as they're doing things is a ruse. It's untrue. And is being disproven yet again here, unfortunately, to the tune of someone having lost their lives and protesters now being shot in the face with what appears to be some sort of chemical agent.
And just before, Katie, before you jump in here, because I really want to hear from you, the woman's mother has identified her as Renee Nicole Good, 37 years old. To the family, Governor Walz says, "I am so deeply sorry." Mayor Fried says he also disputed the Homeland Security's version of what happened here. Katie, have you had a chance to look at the video?
Yeah, I've seen several versions of it, actually, and I'm appreciating the fact that we live in the 21st century. This was incredibly relevant during the George Floyd murder.
In the same city.
In the same city, actually a few blocks away from what I understand. As we recall, when Derek Chauvin was being on trial and others, people and their ability to record what was happening became a critical part of the prosecution's ability to prove its case. And in this instance, thank God that we had all of these people that were there. You know, ironically, Don and Charles, the shooter in this case, this ICE agent, was actually holding his cell phone in his left hand as he was going around the vehicle. So I don't think you're trained to be able to do that. We're going to talk about training in 1 second. I don't think you're trained if you're dealing with, you know, risk of life and safety of yourself and others to be holding your cell phone, recording something while you're going around trying to pull out your gun. NBC News has just reported that a senior DHS official has told NBC News that the way that these ICE officers today approached the victim's car was not consistent with the way that they were trained. I think it's a big leap and assumption that this guy that we're seeing on the screen right now, who's calm, nonplussed, like he's walking on a Sunday, right? I don't know if this guy ever got the training that's required, which is kind of consistent with this idea of how they're just hiring anybody off the goddamn street who wants to be able to be paid a bounty to be able to bring in people, courtesy of ICE and CBP. But the way that they dealt with this particular situation was not consistent with training that's provided and that they're given. And the Department of Justice also has a policy on use of force. And even the Department of Justice's policy is not consistent with what we saw today. So from an analysis standpoint, as a former prosecutor, when we have police-involved shootings, they're either clean or not. It's not a clean shoot, Don. And I don't think Charles would disagree with me based upon what he's seen as well. I do urge, obviously, a fulsome investigation, but isn't it a sad, sorry state of affairs that I can't count on our federal government and its agencies to do a fulsome, clean investigation of what the hell happened today? So if it had to happen anywhere, I'm grateful it happened in Minneapolis, because at least we'll have state agencies that, fingers crossed, are going to get to the bottom of what happened today.
Don, I think.
Yeah, hang on 1 second, Charles. Every time it's Charles, I want to bring in now Monique Presley, a legal analyst, political commentator, a trial attorney, and a dear friend of the show, just a legal mind of the Don Lemon Show. Thank you so much for joining us. I should say former trial attorney and a dear friend of the show. Okay. Charles, I want you to continue on, and then I'm going to get Monique to jump in. But I'm glad you said what you said, Katie, because we, first of all, we don't know the role that the gentleman or the man that you saw in the walked by when you said just sort of nonplussed. We don't know the role for him. Some are saying he's the one. We don't know that for sure. So we don't want to implicate him in something that he did not do. But they do seem very calm. It takes a long time for emergency vehicles to get there because we see it in real time. It's taking forever. This woman's life may have been able to have been saved. But Charles, go on, and then I want to hear from Monique of what her assessment is here.
No, I think that in this age of, and I'm glad we have so many sound legal minds here joining us, it's so important that viewers understand that law enforcement does not mean the same thing for every agency. And so the protocols that are invoked for local police are not going to be the same, for militarized police are not going to be the same, for customs agents are not going to be the same, for DHS not going to be the same for ICE or National Guard. And when we are looking at an analysis or trying to evaluate everything that we are seeing, the question becomes, how have these agents been trained? Under what protocols have they been trained? They are not executing the duties of law enforcement in the contextual way that we would think about police. They are also not National Guardsmen in that sense, where they would be executing those duties. They have a very specific mandate. And I don't necessarily know that the ICE manual, if you will, even though it falls under DHS, has trained them for the types of engagements that we saw today on that video. And it only goes to show, I believe Katie just made the point about how this entire thing was constructed, because what we've seen publicly has been an open call for essentially well-paid bounty hunters, some of whom have college degrees. But this is where the rubber has met the road in the worst of cases, and someone has really, really met death because of an inability to distinguish between protocols that are suitable for law enforcement and local police and protocols that are suitable for other types of agencies. It is not enough for DHS, and this is my last point because I know Monique just got here. It's not enough for DHS to say this was inconsistent with our training. Someone is dead. Someone has been killed. It is not enough for this to have not been caught on video and all ocular evidence had disappeared and the narrative be skewed and twisted in such a way that it would not receive the type of investigation and attention that hopefully it will get now that we are at this place. There has been a serious need to re-examine the practices and policies under ICE. But if ever there was a clarion call for it, it is now.
Monique, if you watch the video, I want to know what you have to say.
Absolutely. I've seen it from any number of angles at this point, and my condolences to the family that, as Governor Walz said, had to find this out on video, online, on TV. That's devastating. The points that Katie and Charles make, which is why even in this horrible circumstance, I had at least a half smile, because I think we're in the exact right space. If I could narrow this down to one sentence, it would be this: ICE agents have no business doing traffic stops.
Exactly.
And when you step completely back from it, what it looks like to me, because I want to do the even ifs, right? I defended a municipal police department for 11 years for wrongful death cases, tried 2 cases involving vehicular homicide vehicle, and in a traffic stop where an undercover officer shot someone who was in a car. And what you need to understand is, if an officer knew what they were doing in a traffic stop, that officer that was in the front never would have been there. That's not, I mean, people who have been stopped at any point know what a stop looks like. and know that officers who are trained come from behind. They call for reinforcement. They wait. They, from a safe distance, tell you to get out of your car if what they're telling you to do is get out of your car. These rogue, whatever they were doing like a jump out. Except for they weren't trained for jump outs either. It's obvious that they didn't have the training for a routine traffic stop to do that the right way, and they didn't have the training for a jump out. And Charles, I was looking up the training because I knew it would come up. They get federal law enforcement training from FLETC, from the training center. They get criminal investigator training. They get Homeland Security investigations and special agent training. They get immigration and constitutional law, firearms training, tactical training, how to handle vehicles and drive themselves, suspect apprehension and evidence collection. They don't get how to apprehend a vehicle and keep yourself from being killed or have to kill somebody else because you're the fool who's in front of a vehicle with a person in it who has not been apprehended with a vehicle on. It's lunacy. It's negligent, it's malpractice, it's all of the things, but I am concerned because what we're going to end up seeing from this video is going to give the government enough room probably to make a case. And that's the place where I'll probably depart from all of my colleagues, because unfortunately, there was a person behind the vehicle that jumped out of the way. There was a person in front that jumped out of the way. And they're going to claim that it's not in slow motion the way we're looking at it, that it all happened so quickly, that the car was moving forward, that he had to jump out of the way. And that's going to explain at least the first shot. Is it going to explain the 2 kill shots? No, it's not. But it's going to give them the narrow thread that they need in order to try to justify the actions of the day.
Monique, what about the assessment that if you shoot someone, then you almost guaranteed that you're going to get hit because the car goes out of control?
Well, but so there's going to be a chain of events, right? And that one is not necessarily the best argument, because what they then argue is that the car and the person driving the car are out of control, and they're doing it in defense of others who may be killed by the car. So it's not just in defense of the officer, it's whoever is in the line who may also be injured if they see people. And the training for police, if they've been trained properly, is that you stop a threat. You don't, that's why they don't shoot for knees when they have a suspect oncoming and things like that. You shoot to stop the threat. And I don't necessarily at all believe that's what that officer was doing. I think he got caught quite literally with his feet out from under him, and whatever happened before the video we can see is going to end up being important. We need to know whether she was with permission trying to leave, or if she was without permission trying to leave, if they knew that she was going to be moving the vehicle or not, what the exchange was between the two, between the officers and the decedent. We need that information. Because it's going to end up being like, was there some sort of exigent circumstance that they had to get out the way that they did, or were they just what it looks like to me being cowboys?
Katie wanted to say something.
In the middle of a Minnesota street, and we've seen this, frankly, in Minnesota already. Yeah. Terrence Crutcher. I mean, how many names are we going to come up with? Yeah. And Crutcher was not Minnesota. Crutcher was, I'm forgetting the state where that was.
Terrence Crutcher was in Oklahoma. But
who was the other one that was in Minnesota shortly after?
It was, I wrote about this. Katie,
it'll come. Go ahead. Katie, explain it and we'll look it up.
It was a jump out. It was a vehicle. They jumped out wrongfully and, are still free and living to tell about it.
So prior to the shooting, the victim and others that were legal observers of what was happening in this residential neighborhood in Minneapolis, I want to underscore that this is not happening in the urban city streets. This is in a very wide, multi-lane, spaced residential neighborhood. They were ordered to leave as in ICE agents told them to leave. So if you see one of the videos, Renee, the victim, actually allows other vehicles to leave the space, that immediate space. And she was allowing them to leave in front of her. There's one vehicle that left right there, right in front of her. And what angle none of us have seen is, as we're watching this video right now, that ICE agent is actually on her door, right?
He's at the side. It doesn't look like he's in the front of the car, by the way. He looks
There's
like he's on the
another
side.
guy who there's
see it.
another video who's the shooter. He came walking up to the vehicle, and unfortunately, many of the videos cut off showing him walking around the passenger side of the vehicle, going to the front of the vehicle, and putting himself directly in front of the vehicle, which violates, regardless if you're a street cop, DHS, whatever the fuck you are, you don't go in front of a vehicle that's on, to Monique's point, ignition on, with an operator in the driver's seat. But we have dealt with failure to adhere to proper training in the Derek Chauvin case. That was a huge part of the prosecution. Derek Chauvin and others were not trained to detain an individual in the way that they did George Floyd, because that's why it ended up being murder, right? And so my concern that kind of is elevated goes beyond whether the state can try to, prosecute what just happened today. Normally, you'd have a Department of Justice that would be concerned about violation of people's civil rights. And in this administration, it doesn't exist anymore. So nobody can really turn their eyes to the federal government to be able to find justice for what happened today. So we have to heavily rely upon local and state authorities to not only do their own independent investigations, but as Governor Walz has indicated, to make sure that justice is achieved through an appropriate prosecution. And let me tell you, there's going to be a huge issue about whether or not you're going to be able to go after somebody if they have immunity for doing what they were doing in the course of their duty. But I mean, it is appalling to me that there is even Monique, the fact that Kristi Noem and Donald Trump, you want to talk about being over your skis, to go ahead and say what they did in a factually inaccurate way, to lie the way that they've done, they've committed the government to a particular narrative and scenario right now. And that, from a prosecutor standpoint, is incredibly powerful, because now you've committed to her, quote, ramming her vehicle and trying to run people over.
Katie, again, let's play it. Let's play it to bolster what you're saying. Here it is.
It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased. We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day. These vehicle rammings are domestic acts of terrorism. We're working with the Department of Justice to prosecute them as such. We will continue to protect our ICE officers and in cooperation with other law enforcement agencies as well.
Unbelievable. Donald Trump. This is what he tweeted out or posted. I just viewed the clip of the event, which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It is a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator, and the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting. I didn't see any of that. Who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer. I didn't see that either. Who seems to have shot her in self-defense. Based on the attached clip, it is hard to believe he is alive, but is now recovering in the hospital. The situation is being studied in its entirety. But the reason these incidents are happening is because of the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers and ICE agents on a daily basis. They are trying to do the job of making America safe. We need to stand by and protect our law enforcement officers from this radical left movement of violence and hate. Is he delusional? Like, does he have another video that shows something else that we have not seen?
No,
he's a liar.
But he probably saw a different angle. The one that we just looked at obviously did not show the person who was actually in front of the vehicle, who did the shooting, who put himself in harm's way. So that's not necessarily the vantage point. Probably saw the other one. And when it's moving quickly, you see the officer jumping out of the way and you see the intent to kill, because that's what they were. It was kill shots that were fired. But what I want to say about this, to Katie's point, is there is also a DHS written statement that they released, not just Kristi Noem doing that press conference, but a written statement. It is the most ignorant, lacking litigation experience type official government statement I have ever seen. If I was one of the litigators who had to try a case after a statement like that, now I would be quite literally on the ceiling right now. But it's good for the purposes of this particular case. It is fodder for the defense. It is fodder for the judge, because they have bound themselves to a particular set of facts that are wrong. They have bound themselves to legal defenses that will not meet the actual evidence in this case. And they have made these statements that are all admissible, because these are official statements by the head of an agency, by the president of the United States, and by a government official. They have done this in writing, and all of it actually, well, it's not all factually incorrect, but it is all legally insufficient. Like what they're saying and what they're doing and what they're using to justify the actions of the day, it's all wrong. And it shows that we are in amateur hour. It shows that if there are any lawyers who are working there, they're not writing the crap that our government right now is producing. So our government is headless and lawless.
I think that the notion of not consulting lawyers is incredibly evident and is generally a hallmark of what we see from this administration, with these sort of statements that seem like they're flying by the seat of their pants. But to Monique's point and to Katie's point as well, when you have these sorts of statements at such a high level, you're talking about Kristi Noem and Donald Trump making these statements that could effectively be characterized as gaslighting the American people about what it is that they can see. There is a ripple effect that occurs. Not only does it delegitimize the efforts that are intended to be done by ICE, but from a legal perspective, keep in mind, they are fighting battles in cities across the country with respect to these claims of being under attack and needing to be able to use excessive levels of force to protect themselves. When you see these narratives that are based in falsehoods or deeply exaggerated statements coming from the highest of levels, it discredits them in those other cases and hurts them when they are trying to advance that narrative. So I want people to understand that there are consequences for this, and the consequences are not just limited to Minnesota. They extend to cities like Chicago. They extend to places like Portland and other places where people are fighting back and trying to keep ICE from having the reign that they are, and especially trying to keep the National Guard from coming in. So
can we go through? Can we go through the video, because there's a video that sort of goes step by step, and if you can run that for us, and then we can talk. Okay, so this is what's on the video. Agent clear a vehicle when he discharges weapon. We don't know if that's the agent. Well, I guess they're pointing to the other side.
Yeah, he's blocked by the guy who's on the driver's door right now. There's another guy. You can see almost his body / feet like towards the driver's side tire over there. So
and this gives us a distorted image of just how far away he is. We don't know because we can't see. Yeah. Wheel turned away from agent. They're going to examine this even more so, right? They're going to go through all of this and examine it even more so.
And Dawn, there's a vehicle to the victim's right of her car. She had to go over front and around to go to the right, to go around the front of that vehicle to her right. See how there's the truck on the right to her car with the door open? So she backs up in one of the vehicles. You see her reverse lights, and then you can see her wheels turning to the right to leave. Not to ram them to her left or in front of her, but to go to the right. And she has to go around that open door.
Oh, yeah, I see that, because the car is in the way. The SUV is in the way, okay?
Yeah, with the open
Puts
door.
Vehicle in reverse, it says right here. And that you can see the agent clearly. You can see it now behind the other agent. And so she turns. She doesn't look like she's turning to hit him, because I think she turns the wheel. I don't know if you're controlling this, Andy. It sort of does. It freezes itself, right? Am I correct? Yeah, and then it plays by itself. Okay, and so what we see here is again a step by step. So when you're looking at this, I don't know. What do you guys think? If they're in the way here, or is he in her way? Is
the
she
first question
aiming at him?
The first question I have, and I believe it was Monique who said it. I am still at the point where I am wondering, what is the justification for the stop here? What are the circumstances or the facts that give them the necessary reasonable suspicion to stop this vehicle? Is it reasonable suspicion that they're relying on? Are they saying they had probable cause? So in terms of how he approaches the vehicle, I'm wondering.
Okay, there we go. She turns her wheel away. Agent moves to the front left. The driver turns the wheel away from the agent. Go ahead. Sorry, Charles. Go ahead.
No. Before we even get to all this, I'm still wondering, for what purpose have you approached this vehicle? Because that matters. It certainly matters in terms of how the stop is being conducted and what information they are seeking to ascertain, or how they are approaching it. Did they have information that there was a weapon in the vehicle or something to that effect? All of this matters in terms of the nature of the stop. And so I'm wondering that as she appears to be headed away and turning away from that officer.
Okay.
But let's assume what I think we'll find, that they were blocking the road, that multiple cars were blocking the road, and that they were ordered to leave. It's still the lack of training or abandonment of every principle of the way that should be accomplished that led to someone's death today.
And you notice no other officer pulled their weapons. If she was such a threat in her vehicle, not even any of the guy who's holding on to her driver's door, who's in more immediate threat of physical harm, right? None of the cops the cops, actually, I don't even think that guy, the person who's in the rear of her vehicle on the passenger side near that the wheel well, I don't even know if that's an ICE person. That could just be a person.
We've got another angle that I was remiss. We have it. Okay, so play the other angle. It's a bit grainy, but here it is. So what do you see there?
It's kind of hard to. Okay, so it's hard to see right now, but this is what a lot of the Trump people are saying is the proof that she meant to hit the ICE agent with her car, because it looks like she may have either grazed his thigh or something, but more importantly, though, if that's happening and she's doing it with the driver's side of her vehicle, it means that he's out of the way, and he needed to get the hell out of the way. There was tons of space available for him to do it, but I think if you see there, Dawn, you see how slowly it's going. It looks like he's on the driver's side front panel. He's not directly in front anymore, right? So,
and I want you to hear this. This is John Roberts over on the Fox News.
Yeah, I've seen the video several times as well. I've kind of gone through it frame by frame. I don't want to describe it because you can't see the entire scene play out. There's an area in front of the vehicle that is obscured by the vehicle itself, so we don't know 100% what happened during that incident. But what I saw, it does counteract the narrative that they were trying to push their car out of the snow. The ICE agents who were involved here, because that vehicle was clearly in the middle of the street as it was approached by a couple of federal agents before it sped off. So again, we'll wait until we get clearance to look at this video and have eyes that are more expert than mine take a look at it. But clearly there are very, very conflicting opinions of what happened. We have the one opinion from DHS, and then we have the other opinion from the mayor and local officials.
And then, so Kristi Noem said that the agent's car was stuck in the snow. I don't see a car that's stuck in the snow and that they're trying to push out here. This is a witness who says he's conservative, right in the neighborhood. Watch.
Around 8:30 this morning, I was just getting up and I heard a bunch of commotion and whistling outside, and then I heard bang, 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 3 shots. I went to go look out the window, and it looked like there was a Honda over there that crashed, and I found out it was an observer that got shot and killed, and I saw them carry it. I got a bunch of video of them carrying the body to the ambulance and stuff. So it was an observer that got shot at an ice raid at the house next door.
I'm sure that was a scary thing to witness.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty right-leaning, but seeing this is not what you need to do. This is not how to do it. It's not how we're supposed to do things around here in America. So,
what was how many agents and other people were here when that happened?
When it first started, there was maybe 20, but now there's hundreds, and then they got everybody out. So it's kind of crazy right now.
So that's what's
Don,
happening
just really
in the
quickly
neighborhood.
though, I want to note something. There is a gunshot. There's gunshot hole. There's a hole in the front of her window on the driver's side. Okay, and then there's multiple shots that are fired that we hear that are going through the open driver's side window of this woman's car. Mm-hmm. So that shot in the front would be consistent with him being in front of the vehicle, and then as he's out of the way, firing into the side of the vehicle. But again, that particular angle on the far side of her car where the hood is and stuff, nobody actually has shown anything. I posted on social that people need to preserve their videos and their photos, and that also includes your Ring cameras as well. There has to be other angles that we haven't seen as well. All of that being said, Charles, Monique are going to agree with me. There's the standard of being in reasonable fear of imminent, serious bodily injury or death. To be
Katie,
able
there
to
is a picture of right at the sort of corner of the windshield that there is a bullet.
We should have a still of that, right? There should be right there. So he's either doing that from the front driver's side panel, or he's doing it from in front of the vehicle. Either way, from what we've seen, he had plenty of space, time, and opportunity to get out of the way, assuming arguendo he was in front of the vehicle.
That doesn't look like a direct shot from in front to me. But
yeah,
that's
it doesn't, right?
It's not
on the side.
It's not a shot you can make from the side. It's
a shot that you can make from the corner of the car. This looks like a side that from the corner of the car. I'm not saying that he wasn't in the way, but this doesn't look like he's in front of the hood or the hood ornament or whatever. It looks like he's from the side front, angle by the panel, the driver's
side panel on the front, right? Which would be consistent with the idea. If she was to ram him and run his ass over, wouldn't she be going dead center to got this guy, right? You're not doing it.
Even as it may be difficult for us to speculate on the trajectory of the bullet and where this appears to be an entry point, I tend to agree with Don, at least that it seems like it's a side panel situation. But I don't want us to lose the sort of overarching importance of the conversation, which for me is I'm still not convinced that and this may be something that you all are sifting through. I still have not reached the conclusion that lethal force was necessary in this instance. I have not seen, to Monique, to your earlier point, I have not seen where ICE can argue that they were using lethal force in defense of any other individuals. I certainly haven't seen that, or any third parties. And as it relates to the individual in front of the vehicle, certainly we don't have the ability to determine like the actual split second timing from when he fired the shot to where he was physically located. But I'm still not of the belief that like before this instance transpired, even watching it in real time, that lethal force was necessary.
What and I mean, just Charles, it just doesn't matter whether you think that or not. That's the difficulty. That's why the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act was supposed to matter. That's why getting rid of qualified immunity was supposed to matter. That's why we were supposed to be looking for different standards than what the court is going to apply in determining whether this ICE agent did something wrong or not. It's the subjective eyes of that agent in that split 3 seconds that is going to determine whether there was a wrongful death or whether there was a justified shooting. So we can slow it down all we want. We can look at all the different angles, but the reality is it was not slowed down in the eyes of the ICE agent. It was not slowed down in the eyes of the decedent. It was not slowed down in the eyes of anybody else who was around. And in that split second, whether it was failed training, whether it was ego, whether it was fear, actions were taken, and a grand jury, well, first a state prosecutor, because we can't expect the federal government to do anything. State prosecutor is going to analyze it. It's going to be investigated. It's going to go before a grand jury. They're going to make a determination, and it's going to be about not the view that we're looking at now. If they find footage, which I'm sure they will, because it seems like there were 1 million cameras there that day, of what it was looking like for the car to come at or on the side of the officer. And as much as, to Katie's point, we may just be saying he needed to get his ass out of the way, that's not the legal standard.
Yeah. So listen.
Or if you're pointing a gun, or you're pointing a car, or you're pointing an axe, anything at an officer, and it could end up killing them, then the legal standard is wrapped up in whether that threat was real or not whether you had time to avoid it, but whether the threat was legitimate.
Got it. Katie, I know that you need to go, so thank you so much. I appreciate it. Unless you have a final word for us.
Just want to reiterate that we've all been in this legal system for a long time in criminal and civil cases. And I don't disagree with what has been said by Monique and Charles, but I will say this. When you have people that care about the system, though, they will allow for a good investigation to happen and to allow the evidence to come forward. And I am actually confident that because there is a legal standard, that the fear that this cop or this agent, I don't even know if it was a damn cop right at this point, this agent had, it still has to be a reasonable fear. And reasonable, I agree, has some subjective component to it, but when you take the totality of the circumstances in that moment, even if it's in a split second, which we know was really fast today, if there was a violation of training, if there was a not reasonable fear on this guy's part, because he did have safe ability to be able to get out of this, I think they would be hard pressed not to prosecute this. Yeah. All of that being said, this administration, because Charles said this, Dawn, they are losing across the United States in Oregon, California, Chicago, DC, and in other jurisdictions in their attempts to federalize the National Guard and to deploy the United States military into cities to justify being able to brutalize the people in those cities. And the reason that they're losing, our judges are finding, as the fact finders in the courtrooms, after taking evidence and listening to what's happening, that what is going on in these cities doesn't rise to the level to allow for the deployment of these federalized National Guard and U.S. military. But if you poke the bear enough, there is a very real concern that people are just going to say, I'm not taking this shit anymore, when you're murdering innocent American citizens that are 37-year-old young women that were just there observing what ICE was doing, which was probably something fucking illegal because it's ICE, right? Mm-hmm. And so my fear is that this ends up escalating to the point where you end up creating the justification, which is why you're hearing Governor Walz and others saying people need to not overreact to this, right? Like people need to be very calm in the way that they're reacting to this, even if it is a total injustice and even if it's murder, because we don't want to give the administration ammunition to use against people. And I think
Katie,
that's actually the right approach at this point.
Katie, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And what I want to say, you bring up a very good point. My point is going to be, why are they even there? They shouldn't be there. If they weren't there,
Amen.
then this situation would not happen. And remember, it's only supposed to be the most violent criminals or whatever, but why are they even there? Thank you, Katie Fang.
Bye, Monique. Bye, Charles. Bye, Don.
Thank you. I want to show something to you guys, Charles and Monique. This is, let's see what, I just want to make sure that this is an eyewitness, a video taken by an eyewitness showing agents denying self-identified physician access. So here we go. Check it out.
Can I go check a pulse?
No! Back up! Now!
I'm a physician!
I don't care. We understand. We got EMS coming, and I get it. Just give us a second. We have medics on scene. We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where are they? How can I relax? You just killed my fucking neighbor. You caught butter in the fucking face. You killed my fucking neighbor. How do you show up to work every day? How the fuck do you do this every day? You're killing my neighbors. You're stealing my neighbors. What the fuck, man?
Why are you shaking your head, Monique?
No, I mean, for them to go through that on the streets, as you said, why is ICE even there? That's why the mayor said what the mayor said.
I'm going to play him in a bit, yeah.
Yeah,
but I'm just wondering, why would they deny a physician the ability to be able to go, and they could ask him for his physician card or whatever, or some proof. But wouldn't you want to have?
I think that was because they knew that they blew her head off. I don't think that was because they were denying her aid. I think that was because they knew she was
They
gone.
knew she was deceased.
Yeah. And there was no triaging it, and so they were choosing to keep people away.
And I also think that is not necessarily something that they're going to find major heat about from a criminal standpoint, at least. If we're looking at civil action, perhaps, but certainly not from a criminal standpoint. Don is not going to weigh very heavily, particularly if the officer, as Monique suggested, was fairly certain that she was deceased. That's not going to matter a great deal.
And according to the
New
New York Post,
it's also an active crime scene at that point.
Yeah, and according to the New York Post, this is Renee Nicole Good, identified by the mother. Again, this is a New York Post reporting, a woman fatally shot by ICE. But again, this is the Post reporting, and that is her photograph there, a 37-year-old woman, young, and is now gone. Okay, thank you both. I really appreciate you guys jumping in. I owe you both so much. Why don't you just text me and tell me what you need and what you want? Besides, I can't give you a bag of money.
Okay, well, nothing.
Well, how big is the bag? I mean, don't sell yourself short, Don.
Yeah, so maybe look, if any of you like, I can send you some, 1942 Don Julio.
You know what I need, Don? I need the special invite to come hang out with you and Brooke New Year's Eve in New Orleans. That's what.
All right, well, come on.
And I would like the merch that I have been promised.
I would like the merch that I've been promised as well, my friend.
Okay, I'm going to send that to you guys. Send the team the address, and I have your address, but Monique. Okay, so send it to me. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you for handling this so professionally. Okay. So there you have it from our experts, and now we're going to talk about what the politicians have said, and how the administration is handling this, and the aftermath of the neighborhood. Okay, it's a bit of an extended version here of Lemon Live at 5. First, a word from our sponsors, though. Support comes from Lean. We've all seen the fad diets, the juice cleanses, a cabbage soup, cutting carbs, then swearing off sugar. You lose a few pounds, you feel good for a minute, and then it all comes right back, sometimes more than before. What I didn't realize for a long time is how hard that cycle is on your body. Doctors call it weight cycling, and about half of Americans deal with it. Losing 10 pounds, gaining it back over and over. It's exhausting, and honestly, it messes with your confidence. Most people don't fail at weight loss. The approach fails them. That's why I want to tell you about Lean. It is a non-prescription oral supplement created by doctors, not an injection, and the science behind it is impressive. Lean helps maintain healthy blood sugar, helps control appetite and cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting it into energy, which is key to keeping the weight off. If you want to lose weight at a healthy pace and actually maintain it, add lean to your routine. Get 20% off when you enter code LEMON at takelean.com. That's code LEMON at TAKELEAN.com. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. A new year doesn't require a new you. Sometimes it just means a less burdened you. And I've learned that a lot of what weighs us down isn't obvious. It's the stuff that we keep carrying because we think we're supposed to. Old habits, old expectations, old guilt. Therapy helped me get clearer about what I needed to let go of and what I actually want to hold on to. Not to be perfect, just to be honest with myself. That's where BetterHelp comes in. They make it easy to get matched online with a licensed therapist who fits your needs. You fill out a quick questionnaire and they handle the heavy lifting. And if the match isn't right, you can switch at any time. BetterHelp has over 30,000 therapists and has helped more than 5 million people. Their live sessions average a 4.9 out of 5 rating for over 1.7 million reviews. So people are really finding support there. If you want a clear head and a little more peace, sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/DonLemon. That's betterhelp.com/DonLemon. And thank you so much to our sponsors. Okay, and also thank you to Kristen Lindstrom for your very generous support of independent media. This event aside, everything going on with ICE has been a huge brand damage for the U.S. Got multiple Trump adjacent friends here in Europe who rule our going to the U.S. For the foreseeable route out. It should be route out. It's at our going to the U.S. for the foreseeable future. So there you have it. Let's go through some of this stuff, and I'm going to take you through it quickly because I think you deserve to see it. I thought the analysis we had was great. So we saw the reporting from MS Now. We saw the video of the shooting. We saw the detailed breakdown of the shooting. We saw what Kristi Noem had to say. We saw what John Roberts had to say. We saw Donald Trump's social media posts. We saw the still of the wheels pointed away from the ICE agent. And I don't know if we've seen the eyewitness debunk the administration's propaganda, but we have seen a right-leaning witness. What do we have for that witness?
Basically, ladies trying to warn everyone ICE is in the neighborhood. Just letting them know, hey, and telling ICE, hey, you're destroying families, whatnot. Stop doing this. Hey, get out of here. Stop that. She reversed so traffic can go by. The pickup truck, gray pickup truck, officer ICE got out and was telling her, hey, well, didn't tell her anything really, just telling her what, I'm going to open up your door and I'm going to get you out. And that's when the shooting happened, and the car took off and then it sped off and crashed right into the cars.
Can you talk about the agent that was stepped in front of the car?
The way he was in the clear. There was another one at the front part of the car on the driver's side, and there's one right there by the door that's opening, trying to get in the door. Then you have one that's in front of the car that was already coming from the side, and he was just getting clear because he already see that, hey, this person could take off. But, maybe I'll try to, intimidate you with my gun.
So that's what that eyewitness to the shooting and the incident had to say. This is moments in the aftermath. This is protesters throwing snowballs at ICE agents in the aftermath. Have we played that one? Is that the one?
We have not played it.
That's not the one with the gas or whatever. Okay, pepper spray or whatever. Here it is. Go.
Gonna shoot someone else and kill him! You gonna murder someone else? Come on, kill us all! You can't kill us all! You can't kill.
So that's what was happening. There was chaos in the neighborhood moments after it happened, and we played the one of the protester, of the agent shooting tear gas into a man's face or some sort of chemical spray. There's the local Fox team says ICE delayed medical care, and perhaps that was they saw the man on the side of the road saying, I'm a physician, can I go check on her? And then the agents denying him the ability to be able to do that. This is the video of ICE, the shooting aftermath, and it's long. We'll play some of it, but the chaos in the moments after the shooting.
They just killed that lady right there in that car, y'all. Killed that lady in that car. Somebody come get their people. It's a lady right there in that car, y'all. I don't want to show this on Facebook like that, y'all. I apologize. But y'all.
There's a woman sitting there crying on the sidewalk. It looks like to this house, on the walkway to this house. Was there more audio?
There's a dog leash in the bag. Can someone get it for me, please? Oh, sorry, Dad!
Y'all know who car this is? Tell them to come check on their people.
Awful. So there you go. That's a moment. Andy, is there a different angle than this, or that's the entire video for the length of it?
That's the whole video, yeah.
That's the whole video. Okay. So you can imagine that woman is saying, get the dog leash out of the back of the car. I don't know if it's the woman had a dog inside of her car and she was trying to get the dog to, oh my gosh, this is just awful. Really awful. The mayor, you guys have seen him before. If you remember during George Floyd incident and you know the unrest that happened with 20 and 21 in this country, Jacob Fry was a big player. He was the mayor of Minneapolis, still the mayor. And now having to deal with this, he had a few choice words for ICE and the administration.
To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. Somebody is dead. That's on you. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying. To the family, I'm so deeply sorry. We're going to be working towards justice as quickly as we possibly can right now. And justice is what we've all got to get. We're going to make sure that in this very difficult moment, we do not take the bait that these ICE agents are trying to create and that the federal government, to be clear, wants.
People are going to want to exercise their First Amendment rights, but please do so safely and lawfully to ensure that we do not have any further tragedy in this city or destruction.
We can show them the kind of courage, bravery, love, and compassion that makes Minneapolis. Let's unite around hope and love and peace and getting justice.
That is the mayor and also the head of the police agency there. Here's the mayor once again responding to the administration's response to the shooting.
They are not here to cause safety in this city. What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos on our streets. And in this case, quite literally killing people. So they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bullshit. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying, getting killed.
Yeah, that's the kind of politician we need right now. A politician that has that much gumption and who's not afraid to say it like it is. And I believe take some action. I think the mayor and hopefully everyone in the city and the state there will do everything within their power to make sure that this is prosecuted correctly and fairly. And that somehow the Trump administration doesn't get its hands on it and have the ability to be able to exonerate a pardon someone when it is not necessary. The governor, Tim Walz, also speaking out, asking people to please protest peacefully.
Let me be clear. Donald Trump and his administration may not care much about Minnesota. That's been pretty evident. But we love this state. We won't let them tear us apart. We'll not turn against each other. To Minnesotans, I say this. I feel your anger. I'm angry. They want a show. We can't give it to them. We cannot. If you protest and express your First Amendment rights, please do so peacefully as you always do. We can't give them what they want.
The governor, again, addressing the issue, saying, with words for the administration, saying that ICE created the chaos. Here it is.
This was totally predictable, as I said it yesterday, and it was totally avoidable. And I just want to remind you, too, that local law enforcement, we get no coordination. They don't tell us they're coming. They don't say why they're sending the largest deployment in American history to Minneapolis. They're not making us any safer. We don't have any of that coordination. They should be talking to us when we do these things. Let us know we're going to be down here. This is going to happen. We don't have that. So when you see local law enforcement or state patrol, or if it would take the National Guard, we're there responding to the chaos they've created too. But our role is to make sure that we're protecting Minnesotans so that something like this doesn't happen.
So that's the governor. And that's the situation there on the ground. It's a really sad day for this country. This did not have to happen. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm just going to warn you, when I tell you to be informed without being inundated, as I always do, as you're scrolling through your feeds tonight, just careful of what you scroll past, because many people saw the Charlie Kirk shooting or whatever, and the raw video, whatever. I did not see that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to have that in my brain and in my head. I don't need to see that. Also, but just be careful as you're scrolling through, as your kids are scrolling through, there are some really graphic images of this poor lady in that car. And so just be careful about that. I want to show you some live pictures now of Minneapolis. There are people who are out, and it's a vigil that is happening. If we can hear a little bit of it, that would be great.
We're asking people to start shifting north towards 33rd so we can make more space.
So these are protests that they're trying to organize there in Minneapolis. Live pictures from the scene, the neighborhood where this shooting took place. Imagine being living in that neighborhood and having to deal with this. And even more so, imagine that you are a friend or a family member of this 37-year-old beautiful lady, Renee Nicole Good, that we have, they've been showing us. But look at the crowd that's out there. This is just the beginning of this. These protests are going to grow. You're going to see incidents. Hopefully we don't see any violence. But this is going to be the beginning, I believe, of a nationwide resistance and protest of ICE and this agency. If there's any good news in all of this, if there's any good news, and this is horrible, but the good news is that this will drive public sentiment away from the administration, away from these policies. This is what people are going to say we did not vote for, and they're not going to go vote for this in November of 2026. This is what's going to drive some Republican members out of Congress and out of the Senate, because they're not going to want to be associated with this and deal with it. This is a turning point, I believe. And I hopefully, using I have a good sense of what's happening. So I believe that that's what's going to happen. I know that they're going to try to, and the legal system is a funny thing. You guys know that. And there are ways where, if you get a good attorney or good representative, there are ways that they can spin things. And I understand what Monique was saying. But what I will say to you is, looking at that and looking at the circumstances surrounding the situation, how the officers got to Minneapolis and they're getting on the streets of our cities and states and towns and municipalities, they don't have to be there. They shouldn't be there. Many of them don't have the proper training, or we don't know what kind of training they're getting because they're not being transparent. And as I said before, law enforcement officers are supposed to de-escalate the situations, not make it worse. And so I don't believe that there's any real justification for this. They may try to come up with it, and perhaps in a courtroom where they get, but in my opinion, there's no justification for this, because we see incidents like this happen all the time. This is what local police deal with all the time. And those folks are usually trained. It's not perfect. Sometimes they end up in violent situations. But for the most part, situations like this are de-escalated and handled every single day, almost every hour or every minute in this country. This was inevitable that something like this would happen. This was inevitable that something like this would happen. So before I have my final words here, I just have one more thing that I need to give to you, and then I'm back and I have other things that I need to say to you. But first, I need to get a word in from our sponsors. This episode of the Don Lemon Show is brought to you by Wild Grain. I love Wild Grain because it makes my life easier without feeling like a shortcut. It is a bake from frozen subscription. It's a box with sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas, and everything bakes in about 25 minutes. Mwah, superb. What really sold me is the quality. Simple ingredients that you can actually pronounce, slow fermentation that's easier on your stomach, no preservations, no gimmicks. The box is fully customized too. They've got a classic variety box, gluten-free, vegan, and now a protein box. In my freezer right now, you want to know, it's a sourdough loaf and those croissants. Dangerous in the best way. Warm, flaky, and perfect for a quiet morning or an easy dinner night. Over the holidays, we used it for Christmas Eve dinner. Amazing. There's nothing like having an artisan bakery waiting for you at home, especially in the colder weather. So right now, Wild Grain is offering $30 off of your first box plus free croissants for life when you go to wildgrain.com/lemon. That's wildgrain.com/lemon, or use the promo code lemon at checkout. Support comes from Fatty 15. I've been thinking a lot about aging lately, not in a panic way, but in a practical way. Well, kind of a panic, but mostly a practical way. Sleep matters more. Recovery matters more. Energy matters more. You start paying attention to what actually supports your health instead of what just sounds good on a label. That's why Fatty 15 caught my attention. It is the first new essential fatty acid discovered in over 90 years, a real scientific breakthrough for long-term health and healthy aging. It was discovered by Dr. Stephanie Vin Watson while she was working with the U.S. Navy to help aging dolphins live longer, healthier lives. Since then, more than 100 studies have shown that this fatty acid, C15, strengthens cells and helps slow biological aging at the cellular level. So when you don't get enough C15, our cells become fragile and age faster. Fatty 15 helps repair that damage and supports things like sleep, cognition, and natural repair. Personally, I've noticed better sleep and more steady energy during the day. It's vegan, patented, and has more cellular benefits than fish oil. Get 15% off of their 90-day starter kit at fatty15.com/lemon with the code lemon. Again, you can get 15% off of their 90-day starter kit at fatty15.com/lemon with the code lemon. Thanks to our sponsors. Yes, thank you so much to our sponsors. So as we go to the protests, and I show you the protests that are happening in Minneapolis, I want you to think about your family and your loved ones, and to think about, all of the people who are out there fighting for justice, all of the things that when you are attending protests and things can go wrong. This young lady, paid the ultimate price, made the ultimate sacrifice, but she was standing up and believing in something that she and taking action for something that she believed in. I know she obviously did not think that her life would be taken. I don't think that she was some criminal that was running away. I think that she was indeed afraid of, why are you turning me around? Why are you trying to violate my civil rights to be on a public street for which, if she is a citizen of that city, she's paying for? So it's a very, very sad day. This young lady could be any of our friends, our families, our sisters, our aunts, moms, could be any one of us. And so as I leave you this evening, I usually tell you where you can go to the website and all that. You guys know how to do that. But I will leave you this evening and tell you that tonight we are all Renee Nicole Good, and our thoughts and prayers are with her. And this is the perfect time for you to be informed without being inundated, because there are some bad things that are out there on social media that you don't need to see and your kids don't need to see. So until I see you back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time here on the Don Lemon Show on the Don Lemon channel, brace yourselves and turn the TV off. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern time, with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.